Hi YouTube, today we will review some EV news. We'll talk about China's market and the electric vehicle trends in July. In particular, let's look at China's exciting EV war right now. This episode is quite packed. We'll walk through it quickly. First, there's this graph for July. It encompasses the whole market. This portrays China's total auto market sales by different vehicle categories for the said period. Over 640,000 new energy vehicles were sold. The share of NEV in the market is 36, marking a high. Let's check out the next market. It achieved the highest level so far. It did drop a bit, but with price war simmering down, it's picking up. It's steadily rising. The rate is increasing, especially for NEVs sold in China. 1 of every 3 new cars sold is now an EV. This goes to show the high level of EV adoption in the country. Now, if you think of the overall auto market in China, it did shrink a bit in the last 2 or 3 years. You can clearly see it's been scaled down, especially in the recent months. There's talk of the Chinese market slowing down. This slowdown might have an impact. It'll be interesting to watch how it affects by end of 2023. Will this trend continue? How far will NEVs influence their sales? Well, let's watch out for that. I'm looking forward to it. Next, we have the breakdown in sales of battery EV and PHEV. You'll see that the sales of BEV, shown in green here, are dominating. However, the sales figures of PHEV, in light blue here, are growing rapidly too. So, I believe this trend of increasing PHEV sales will continue for the next couple of years. So let's keep an eye on that. Well, especially now PHEV is getting quite popular in China. Lots of users want longer drives, and also there's the pricing of charging infrastructure. It's pretty high. So many Chinese users are turning to PHEV. The number of PHEV users in China is increasing. Now, this graph only talks about the sales of battery EVs in July. It just shows the transition in sales figures. If we look at July alone, the share of only BEV is 20, so almost 1 in 4 new cars sold was a BEV. In China, that means a massive amount. That's how hot the EV market in China is right now. On the other hand, if we look at the past year, it seems to be slowing down, especially when compared with the growth of PHEV over the year. The sales pace of BEV has slowed down a bit since there was a price war earlier this year. Now, how much closer can the sales of BEV get to 30%? We'll have to see how it fares in the latter half of the year. Let's see how it goes. The sales pace was a bit slow earlier this year, so we need to see how much the percentage increases in the latter half. Can it get close to that 30% mark? We'll need to keep an eye on that. I'm looking forward to it. Now, this graph shows the top 20 popular car models sold in July 2023. One thing to point out is this is not an EV ranking. It's the most popular cars overall, including gasoline cars sold in China. So that being said, if you have a look, you see BYD Chin Plus coming first, Tesla Model Y in second, and BYD Song Plus in third. Amazingly, all the cars in the top 3 are either NEVs or PHEVs. Put simply, it's like if all the top-selling cars at home, like Corolla or Yaris, were EVs. You get the idea? The popularity of EVs in China is getting high, isn't it? Just by selling more of the popular cars, EV sales can soar. Let's note that. Now, this shows only the battery engines, or PHEV. It will be interesting. More than half of the top 20 are either BEV or PHEV. Can you believe it? The more a model is well-liked, the higher the possibility of it being an EV. Especially in China, the more popular a model, the more it looks like an EV. This shows us the rapid rise of EVs in China. Among the top 20 car models, that's BYD. They have multiple models, but guess what? Many of them are BYD EVs. It's easy to see that BYD has overwhelming dominance in China. There are probably 2 main points to highlight. The first one is about BYD's new model. It's only been on sale for a few months, but it's already made it to the top 20 at 19th place. That's pretty impressive. So by the end of 2023, I bet it's going to be in the top 5. Nonetheless, small EVs continue to be incredibly popular. Like we've been highlighting on this channel all along, they are a big hit. This also applies to the D9 minivan from BYD's luxury brand Denza. This minivan EV is very popular. It costs about 35,000 yuan in China, so it's pretty high-end. And yet this luxury car is in the top 20. That says a lot about its popularity. I can tell a lot of people love it. It's also outselling popular models like the L8, L7, L9 from Li Auto. So Denza is doing really well. You can clearly see that. If luxury cars sell more, then BYD makes more profit. So that's a huge plus. BYD is releasing their second quarter financial results soon. I think we can have high expectations for that. Okay, this chart is about the monthly sales changes for automobile manufacturers. And look at BYD marked in yellow. BYD has quickly jumped to the top of the sales chart. They've been the top seller since February for 6 months straight, totally beating former champion Volkswagen. So for this year's season, for the first time in Chinese history, Chinese manufacturer BYD is most likely going to be the annual top seller. Bet on it. Also, interestingly, BYD is still maintaining sales number compared to June, while other Japanese makers, Honda, Toyota, Nissan, and Volkswagen, they've all seen sales decline. What's alarming is Toyota. In comparison to June, their sales have dropped by 23,000 units. Don't know what's causing this, but as far as Toyota is concerned, prices for cars like RAV4 or Corolla Cross, already lowered by tens of thousands of yen, are still having poor sales. Therefore, the drop in sales for Toyota is concerning. I think their second quarter evaluation isn't going to look good. While I may be taking it a step too far, one could say that they really pushed the sales to make the financial results look. So the recent drop in Toyota's sales is something to worry about. Okay, this chart shows sales numbers for Mazda and Mitsubishi, two mid-tier manufacturers. Sales for Mazda are down to 5,000 units a month as of July, the lowest in the market. Mitsubishi, on the other hand, has stopped production altogether with sales now at zero. It's unlikely there will be any recovery for Mitsubishi, so I assume they'll probably announce a total withdrawal from China soon. And following Mitsubishi, I reckon Mazda will probably announce their withdrawal early next year. The future of Japanese car makers in China looks increasingly grim. Just my opinion though. Anyway, that wraps up our talk about Japan's car makers. You see, Japanese makers are getting better, right? By the way, this graph shows top Japanese sellers. Not surprisingly, the light blue for Chinese makers is already at 49.5%, rapidly increasing their share. So in China, 1 in every 2 cars is now Chinese made. On the other hand, Japanese sellers, represented in green, are losing share fast. In 2020, it was at 24.1%, or about 1 in 4 cars was Japanese. But by 2023, it's down to 17.6%, so only 1 in 6 cars is Japanese. This means the share dropped significantly. If you look at the data, Japanese makers are struggling, so it's clear when you see this. Okay, now to look at why Japanese makers are struggling, I would say it's mainly because of China's BYD. So let's dig into sales trends by model. Starting from about 3 million yen, we have compact SUVs. BYD has a model called Song Plus. Honda has CR-V, while Toyota has RAV4, which is also popular in Japan. They are all quite popular, but if you look at the sales trends, Honda's CR-V is clearly losing sales. It used to sell around 30,000 units, but now it's barely hitting 20,000 units. As for the RAV4, it might seem like it's maintaining its scale, but actually Toyota has already cut the price by 650,000 yen, so they're only barely keeping sales steady thanks to a huge price cut. The RAV4 also has a PHEV model line, but it only sold several dozens units since the start of 2023. Meanwhile, the BYD Song Plus is selling at a rate of 30,000 units. So when it comes to electric vehicles, people are choosing the Song Plus over the RAV4. So, especially in the EV field, Toyota and Honda are having a tough time. That's the situation. Next, we look at compact sedans. Here again, the BYD Kin Plus is dominating with monthly sales of 34,000 units. Nissan Sylphy was selling at a rate of 60,000 units per month, but now it's nearly half. Especially tough is Toyota's Corolla, which used to sell around 35,000 units, but now can't even reach 20,000. So, Corolla has already lost about half of its share due to the presence of the Kin Plus. That's what this chart shows. Okay, next is premium sedans. These include Nissan's Tina, Honda's Accord, Toyota's Camry, and Volkswagen's Passat. But again, BYD's Han is selling 25,000 units monthly. Volkswagen's Passat still sells about 35,000 units per month, but it's currently on a major discount with a 1 million yen price cut, so it's just about keeping sales steady. The premium segment is a big contributor to profits, so these drastic price cuts are really biting. Obviously, Toyota and Honda are having a tough time. Passat barely makes a profit. Honestly, they're desperate to maintain their sales scale. Feels like they're stuck in BYD's trick, no price reduction at all. Passat has to sell at regular price to match the version's price. When you think about it, it's all about cost competitiveness. They're not competitive. It's apparent from these trends. You can tell from watching. This is the last compact segment showing the sales trend of compact cars. This segment is not popular in China. Kazar opened the yellow BYD Dolphin segment that was not popular. You can see the Dolphin sells about 20-30k. Unheard of sales numbers until now. Dolphin sales are beginning to drop, but now they're going global, including the Japanese market. They're allocating sales to the global market. And we've got the smallest. The graph shows the trend of battery EVs sold by Japanese manufacturers. This is the number of battery Vs sold, especially this point. Toyota's performance. Their sales exceeded the previous month in July. Their sales are at an all-time high. So this is the highest sales level ever. BZ4X is recovering, but it's lowering its price to 1.4 million. It's natural their sales will increase, but that's worrying. It's expected, but with such a big price drop, they're not making any profit. Profitability is probably zero. They want to make some earnings from BEVs. That's probably the plan behind the massive price reduction. BG3 sales are dropping rapidly because of a clear recall issue. BZ3 sales are dropping rapidly because of a clear recall. The production number is falling, and in the second half of this year can be recover from this recall turmoil and increase its sales. The concern is whether sales will drop due to the recall. Finally, there's also Aria. In July, they sold only 115 units, and sales are not recovering. Currently, Aria is in the middle of a massive price drop to 1.2 million. If you think about it, it's quite hopeless. The only hope is for the year 2024. They added an entry-grade version priced at around 4.4 million yen. From a Japanese perspective, it's unthinkable to buy an Aria from 4 million yen. But unfortunately, even at that price, Aria is not popular in China. If sales don't increase with the addition of the entry grade, it's a real crisis. Aria is not popular in China. If sales don't pick up, if it doesn't sell well, even after a significant price reduction, it's a crisis. Seeing this, it feels dire. That's the latest sales trend for Chinese NEVs in July. Bottom line, Japanese makers' battery vehicles can't seem to catch on. Until NEVs sell well, things will be tough. Things are pretty rough. Looking at BZ4X and BZ3, will sales improve in the second half of the year? Raised how far they can raise sales is the question. Centered on BYD, how much can they expand their sales figures in the Chinese market? When will we surpass the 30% mark in only battery EVs? At what timing will we reach that level? Let's keep watching. That's all I wanted to say.
So, thank you for watching. If you like this video, give me a like. And please make sure to subscribe to my channel. See you soon.